Yo, what's going on, man? Today is January the 20th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show where I'm live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. As we always do, we'll start with a quick recap of yesterday. I, just like most of the favorites yesterday in the NBA, absolutely got smoked yesterday. I went 1-3 on official plays, gave out we'll start with the good just because it wasn't that much, so it'll be pretty quick. I talked about taking Philly, smaller play, but I did think that without Franz Wagner being there, it wasn't going to be enough, and it wasn't offensively. Philly wins and covers the game pretty easily, 124 to 109. We took a -4.5. Outside of that, everything that I said was wrong. I talked about Atlanta, being in a really, really good spot, coming back home off the loss to Toronto, the jersey retirement night for Udonis Haslem. Atlanta covers the first quarter, the first half, and the full game. DeJounte Murray, game winner, yet again, which killed two plays, right? Because we had Miami in the first half against the number. They don't get there. We had Miami Heat in the money line with the Lakers. Also, neither team wins the game. The dogs were barking last night in a big, big way. Matter of fact, every dog covered last night. Every dog covered last night outside of the Orlando Magic. Every dog covers on the full game line. Denver goes in, beats Boston outright, of course, as well. And then the other play that I was on was I was on the Pelicans. They get smoked. Devin Booker looked like a man with his hair on fire last night. He scored 41 points in the first quarter. Never really looked back. Devin Booker goes for 52. The Pelicans just, flat out didn't come to play. I'm not sure why. And the crazy thing is when Phoenix actually scores that many points and they, are hitting their jump shots at such an elite level, I want to say they shot like above 65% in that first quarter. That's typically when they can, get back on defense and how their defense set. So I know people are joining late, but I'm just kind of going over a recap of yesterday. The dogs were barking. Portland wins outright against the new look Indiana Pacers last night. The Lakers look like they're going to hold down the fort against Brooklyn, get smoked in the third quarter, 38-22. Never really look, like themselves in the second half of that game. Lonnie Walker, Cam Thomas, absolutely kill those guys. So, yeah, definitely need to get it back today. Won't force the issue, but definitely looking to get it back today. I want to do the show a little bit differently. So overall, 1-3 day yesterday. We're down a couple units because of that. So it had been a really successful week. It's actually the first losing day of the week. We know the weekends could be a little wonky, but we do have, some games to get to. 8 games on the card for today. And I want to do something a little different today. I typically come on here, I give you guys what I'm looking at. But I want to do things a tad bit different because I actually didn't have as much time as I thought I would to handicap the card for today. There's one play that I absolutely love, and we'll get to that in a second. And I'll give you guys that play. But a lot of these games, I kind of feel like I'm leaning this way and I'm leaning that way, but I haven't taken the necessary time that I typically would to kind of handicap the card. I do think that there's money to be made in Minnesota and OKC. I've dove deep, but not extremely deep. Utah and Houston, I think also some money to be made there. I think it's money to be made in Memphis and Chicago as well. Definitely in Toronto and New York, and I haven't really handicapped that game yet either. So we'll get there, but there are 4 games before those games. The 7:30, the 7 o'clock games. We also got a 3 o'clock game that starts in about 45 minutes between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Detroit Pistons that I really don't want to have any action in, and maybe I'll watch a little bit of it, but maybe some live bets. But I don't think I want to get involved there. So as I always ask, man, hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the channel. We did get 150 views, which is 150 likes yesterday. So shout out to everyone with the like button for me to hold me accountable, because I did say if I got 150 likes yesterday, I'll do a morning show. If this video gets 200 likes, I'll do a Sunday show as well. Tomorrow is a pretty nice. Let's see what we got tomorrow. We got another 6-game card for tomorrow. So I'll do a Sunday show potentially tonight if we get 200 likes on this video. So if you're watching it late, definitely hit the like button. Log into somebody else's account, hit the like button as well. Send it to your friends. Tell them to hit the like button. But hit the like button for me, and we'll do a Sunday show as well. I'll break these games down. So I say all that to say this. I said I wanted to do the show a little bit differently. I want you guys to, when we get to the game, I want you guys to tell me what you're looking at. I want you guys, maybe you have questions like about some SDQL and some parameters that we can kind of look at these games through. But I don't have a lot on these games today. So maybe y'all can talk me onto something. Right now, I've made one play that I absolutely love. And like I said, we'll talk about that game in a second. So let's do that. Shout out to everybody for being here as well. Shadow says, yo, Chris, the Lakers got smoked last night. Boy. I only had them on the money line parlay, but they couldn't even cover that. Young Harlow, what's going on, my brother? Appreciate you for being here. What's up, Tasha? Good afternoon to you as well. Appreciate you for tapping in. She says the Lakers covered their first half. Miami shaking my head. I know Miami they burned a lot of people last night for sure. Tasha also saying thanks for the Saturday show. Absolutely, Tasha. Hopefully we can get there. Call Me Aries says the Lakers owe him about $600. Tasha says today's NBA spread is too high. She says Miami owes her. What's up, Estat? Estat says Miami owes everyone. Massively disappointed in them right now. And it's crazy for Estat to say that because he typically doesn't. Tasha says Boston scored 61 points in the first half. It was a push for her. I know you were heavy on that first half yesterday, Tasha. Yeah, Pacers, Lakers. So all of the dogs were barking last night, man. Frank says Nuggets +7 was the easiest bet of the season so far. I talked about that being too many points, man. I felt like they were getting disrespected yesterday. They go win outright and give Boston their first loss of the season. What's up, JT? Let's see. Jamie says Lakers got me heated. Still got me heated. AD came out in the second half laughing and shaking hands. I actually fell asleep, man. Vaughn says Lonnie Walker and Cam Thomas was out there looking like Jordan and Pippen last night. Yeah. What's up to my guy, Coop? He says, shout out to Dream for reminding me about the Lonnie Walker return game, covering his points in 5 minutes. Insight is always helpful. Drop a like for Chris to support the show for the free 99. That's an absolute fact, Coop. I also talked about Lonnie Walker, in the revenge fight yesterday. Wasn't sure how many minutes he was going to get, but those starters, man, they don't have a lot of offense until they play the Lakers and score 130 points. So, yeah, man, absolutely. Young Harlow reminding everybody to hit the like button for a Sunday show. I did say that if we get 200 likes on this video, I'll do a Sunday show. Brandon says I like Victor for his double. So let's get into it for today, man. I can't get through all the comments. What's up, Talani? Glow Boy as well. Who else is in here? Anthony Wilson. What's up, Markel? Appreciate you for tapping in. Tariq. He says not a good day yesterday as well. Let's get it back today. Estai says, Chris, what's good, man? My bad on Miami. The need to stay on the hell no list. They figured out their identity. I would agree as that. I was kind of thinking about it because I watched a lot of that game yesterday. I do think that it's been a lot of moving parts, and we just kind of expect Spoelstra to be able to figure it out and for those pieces to kind of figure it out. But you got Jimmy Butler coming back recently. That was only his second game back. He could potentially not be taking the regular season too seriously, and we've seen that before. You also got Jaime Jaquez Jr. out of the rotation, right? So it's a lot of moving parts for that team. Also, Tyler Hero was getting dogged on defense. They was going right at him every single time. And shout out to DeJounte, man. Atlanta looks really, really good. Let's see. So, yeah, I do discredit y'all some, Estai, but you got to give credit to Atlanta and some situational stuff as well. Let's get into it for today. So the first game we got on the board, this game, like I said, starts in about 45 minutes or maybe less. We got the Bucks and the Pistons. And I want to remind people, drop your queries in the chat, drop your thoughts in the chats on these games. I don't have a lot on the Bucks and the Pistons. I'll break these games down almost like my guy RC does. Ronald Cobain does a show that I'm on pretty frequently when he does do it, called Let's Cap, and we kind of go through and kind of look at angles for these games. So initially with the Bucks and the Pistons, I'll tell you guys this: the Pistons are not the greatest team. Of course, we know this. They're 2-18, straight up. Are 8-12 against the spread at home. They're 6-4, which is actually better. They're in better form right now against the spread than the Milwaukee Bucks are. When I first look at this game, the first thing that jumps out to me, as I know the Pistons are bad, and I know that the Milwaukee is more rested in this game, but the Pistons are 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're also 8-10 on the road, so they're not even a profitable team on the road. I know for a fact, and I've been talking about this for a while, I can't lay 13.5 points with the Pistons. I can't lay 13.5 points with any team that doesn't play defense. So for me, not really diving into the game too much, to me, this one would be easy for me. I'm taking the points with the home dog here, especially 13.5. That's a really, really big number. We just saw Detroit cover against the Timberwolves the other day, a team that plays much better defense. So if I'm playing a spread, I feel like I got to take the points. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this game from a points perspective. Would you be taking the points with Milwaukee? With Detroit, or would you be laying the points with Milwaukee here in this spot? Milwaukee they've dominated the head-to-head matchup. They've won 7 straight games. They've covered, one of the 2 meetings that they had so far this season. Detroit, The two games were played. They played twice already. Detroit did cover the first game that was in Milwaukee, where they lost by 2, 120 to 118. In the most recent matchup, the one I remember the most, on December the 16th, Milwaukee actually smoked Detroit, 146 to 114. That game was with Cade. They were laying 16 and a half points. They come on the road. It feels like the number should be stronger. I'm sorry, the number should be weaker, but it's only 3 points weaker. Maybe it should be appropriate. You do see the total move from 241, which is what it was on December 16th, about a month ago. Now it's up to 245. And I think that's probably appropriate as well. For Milwaukee, they haven't played a game since the 17th, so 2 days of rest for them. They lost that game, got smoked to Cleveland. We were right on that spot. And they actually, this is the first of one of those little mini series, a back-to-back series. These two teams play again on Monday as well. That game will be played in Detroit. For Detroit, they also have 2 days of rest. They're coming off the loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, 117 to 124. They have covered 3 straight games, though. So what do you guys think about this game? Anybody got any thoughts? Glow Gaming. Yeah, this is the Glow Gaming. Yeah, this is live. Everything is live right now. It is 2:30 on the East Coast, 2:29 on the East Coast. What else? What y'all like in this game, man? Brian says, what's up, guys? Let's get it done. Hude, he says he thinks the Pistons can cover. I would agree. And that says, can't trust the Bucks to cover 13. Tasha says Detroit team total over 113. These are really, I think, some pretty good looks. I need to look deeper. Like I said, I just know for a fact I can't lay 14 points with the Pistons. Any player props you guys like in this spot? If so, let me know what those are. Maybe I'll dive deep into this after the show. But let's see. So we got Pistons to cover from Hude. And that says he can't back the Bucks lane to cover 13. Tasha likes the team total over. Why do you like the team total over, Tasha? I'm curious to know a little bit more about that. Probably just because Milwaukee defense is terrible. Detroit team total over 113 and a half, or over 112 and a half to stay away from the spread. And Detroit plus the 13 and a half. The line did open at 12 and a half, and money is coming in on Milwaukee, not just to win, but to cover in this spot with the line moving up to 13 and a half. Injury report. Forgot to check that real quick. Let's see. So we got Giannis, he should be coming back. Isaiah Stewart is out today, which is even less rim protection. We also got to remember that the trade was made, so this they will be without Marvin Bagley, who really wasn't getting a lot of minutes anyway. Yeah, this one is difficult for me, man. It's really, really difficult because Detroit defense is really, really bad. I think I'll probably look towards the over, honestly. I don't see Detroit stopping anybody. I don't see Milwaukee stopping anybody. What do y'all think? Anthony says he likes the Pistons and the under. Markel says you would expect the Bucks to come out after getting blown out the last game. You would, but what do we really expect from them, Markel? I agree with you. Like, eventually it has to get to that point where, like, you're like, you got to take some pride about this, right? Whether you got Giannis or not. For them to lose by 40 in that last game, it is pretty embarrassing, right? But I just don't feel like the coach got the locker room. I don't feel like, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I would agree. Maybe you look at Bucks early, right? I think this is what you're saying, Markel. Glow Gaming says Milwaukee is 4-7-1 against the spread after a loss. Pistons have surprisingly been doing well as of late. Like I said, they have covered 3 straight games. The Pistons have. And, of course, they've been dogs in every single one of them. 9-point dogs, 6-point dogs, and 12.5-point dogs. They're playing pretty good basketball. Outright win against Washington. And that says depends if they get 9 or 25 points from Dame. That's also interesting. Markel says he passed. Anthony likes the Bucks in the first half. LJ says Pistons team total over. What's up to my guy, LJ? What up, LJ? He says Pistons team total over 116. Bucks play no defense. Plus Alex Burks been balling. Over 14 and a half is a great look for him. He's hit 8 in the last 10 games. Bryant says he likes the Pistons in the first half. I think that's supposed to say +8. Yeah, +8 in the first half. So just kind of keep it close, even if they run out of gas late. Says, I don't know about that team total. Maybe it's a first half team total. Colin says, honestly, can't tell. Want to play Ivy with his high usage and guards versus the Bucks. That's a really good logic. Really, really good logic there. No way I can talk you off of playing the way he's been kind of getting downhill, he's actually been shooting the ball well from the perimeter as well. We've seen Ivy play really, really well. I don't want to take too long on this game, but I just wanted to let me finish getting through the comments real quick. We're getting some updated news about Reggie Bullock being listed as out. Lou Dort is available to play. Daniel Gafford listed as out for the game today as well. Still in concussion protocol. And we're getting some Miami Heat update stuff for tomorrow as well. Atachi says, how do you think the Bucks respond after that 40-point loss? I'm not sure, Atachi. Did you look into that? Like, I know you're a very strong query guy. Did you look at the Bucks coming off losses this season, specifically by margin? Let's check that out real quick. Team equals Bucks. And previous margin. Let's see. If the Bucks are coming off a loss, the Bucks first time losing by 20 this season. Have they lost by 15? They have lost by 15 4 times so far this season. By 15 or more 4 times this season. They beat the Heat after one of those games. They beat the Knicks after one of those games, but didn't cover. They beat the Bulls after one of those games, but didn't cover. And then they also beat the Celtics after one of those games, but also they did cover. That was the game that the Celtics were, in that bad trouble spot at the beginning of the end of the following week. So the Bucks are 4-0 against straight up 2-2 against the spread, 3-1 to the under, giving up about 107.5 points per game. So this would lean towards the under here. Appreciate you for shouting this out, Itachi. Uncle Leroy says he thinks it's Dame time. Tariq says Pistons can cover the first half as well. Glow Gaming says Ivy 20 points against Lillard. Bucks been struggling against guards. That is true. Vaughn says this is a lot of points for a weekend game. Not enough defense from the Milwaukee side to cover this big line. I would agree, man. I think I would agree there. Corey says no way I can lay the points with the Bucks. But thoughts on Giannis over 31.5? The reason I think you can bet on Giannis, I've been thinking about this for a while. The reason I think you can bet on Giannis props consistently, because they don't play any defense. He has to do so much for this team offensively. I was listening to Shaq and Kenny and Chuck talk about this. He just has to go out and get his numbers because their defense has been so bad. So if they're playing in a really good, I don't know if necessarily this game, but if they're playing in a really good game, I could definitely see him having to go, get his points in this spot. I'm not sure if he needs to. I think other guys can contribute because Detroit, they're not a good defensive team. Their offense has more so been kind of keeping them in games, and they've been able to score a little bit more. You look at Detroit, they scored 117 against the Timberwolves. That's a lot of points to score against the Timberwolves. Scored 129 against the Washington Wizards, and 110 against Houston. So their offense has really picked it up, even without Cade. They're also 7-2-1 to the over in their last 10 games. The Bucks 4-6 to the over, so 6-4 to the under in their last couple games. Let's get to. I want to get to a couple more comments, then we're gonna get off of this game. Shadow says, I think Jaden Ivey over 21.5. He's been balling last few games, and Bucks are still bad against guards. I think Jaden Ivey is the right way to look. Tasha says, I've been watching Detroit play, and they've been scoring around 115 or more. So she likes that team total over, like she mentioned. Hude says he likes doing rebounds at 10, over 12.5, and Dame 26 points and 6 assists. 25 points and 6 assists. I'm sorry. Michael Anderson says he likes Bojan Bogdanovic over 18.5 points. He averages 21 versus Milwaukee in his last 5 games. I think he has a good game. I definitely think he has a good game today. Could definitely see Bojan. It could be a Bojan day for sure. Shadow likes Bobby Portis over 20.5 points plus rebounds. He says he kills this line versus the Pistons in both games so far this season. Atachi says road favorites off a 40-point loss. Quick SDQL check. Yeah. Road favorites off a 40-point loss. Let's see what we get there. And we'll just go back in time for this one. Away favorites. And previous margin greater than or equal to 40. Wow. Damn. Okay. Yeah, this is strong. Shout out to Itachi for bringing this to the show. I'll share this with you guys real quick. We are looking at 40-point road favorites. I'm sorry, not 40 points. Teams that lost by 40, and now they're road favorites in their next game. 13-1 straight up, 12-2 against the spread. You had to go back. It only happened one time this season. We were actually on the Lakers in this spot. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. The Lakers had got smoked against the Philadelphia 76ers. I remember this, November 29th. We took the Lakers first quarter, first half, and full game. They covered all three. So we were on them in this spot here. Damn, that's a hell of a trend, Itachi. What if we put it down to 35 points so we get more of a variety? 25-10 straight up, 21-13-1 against the number. 19-15-1 to the under. I'm really like breaking these games down with you guys because I don't have a play in this game. What if we add that they rested as well? So rest is greater than 0. 15-9 against the spread, 19-6. Going back to a Tachi trend real quick, it does look like so there's a 3-point margin here in the first quarter, which that doesn't help us any. But going back to a Tachi trend, this is 7-point first quarter margin. 29.1 to 22.1. So maybe we just expect the Bucks to score early in the first quarter. Against Detroit, I don't think I could be talked off of that. So maybe this is a Milwaukee first quarter team total over look 29 to 27, or maybe you take them in this in the first quarter in the spread. This is strong though. I wouldn't necessarily bet against this, even though I do kind of want to take the points with Detroit. Let's see. Tasha says Saturday games be funny. That's a fact. Dante says road favorites land 12 or more this season. 4-0 straight up. 1-3 against the spread though. Hude says the Bucks aren't who we thought they were going to be this season. Their defense is just bad, man. Brian says Pistons are very competitive. Try to get every win lately. That's why I like them early. I could see that, Brian. But the counter to that would be, that while they are competitive, the Bucks are coming off a loss where they never even showed up. They were down 24-2, I think, or like 16-2 or 20-2 against Cleveland the other day when we took them plus the 3.5. Tasha says covering by what point? Usually Detroit is on in the first half. She likes the +8 as well. This is a difficult game, man. Let's see. Hude says, what sites do you use for these stats and data? This is Killer Sports right here that you see on the screen right here, Hude. This is Killer Sports, but I'm looking at a lot of different things. Definitely a conversation for later. I'm on one game, man. We gotta keep it moving. But I am intrigued by this game, man. I'm very, very intrigued by this game. Let's see. Tasha also says lately the Bucks been terrible in the first half. Official. She's going Detroit +8.5 in the first half. And the last comment we'll get to real quick. Vaughn says Bucks haven't done well as away favorites this season. If I had to sprinkle, I'll play Bucks first half, but I'm off this game. All right, cool. Let's go on to the next game then. And that was a really long time on that game. Spurs and Wizards. Let's try not to spend too much time on this game specifically because this is another ugly duckling of a game that we have here. Biggest things that jump out to me, of course, you have the rest advantage for the Washington Wizards in this spot. This team has not necessarily looked great recently. Lost to Detroit the other day at home. They come back and go on the road for one game. They look really decent in that last game, right? We know that they were playing against the Knicks in the Garden. They were getting 7 or 8 points in that game. And no, they were getting close to double digits in that game, weren't they? They got 12 in that game. They covered that game 109 to 113. Of course, injury report wise, Daniel Gafford's going to be out. Zach Collins, who wasn't supposed to play, is going to return. He's going to play again, second leg of a back-to-back for him. And you also get Victor Wembanyama back as well. For the San Antonio side, this is the first matchup these teams have played this season. San Antonio, fourth game of a 5-game road trip. They actually play in Philly. They're in their road trip on Monday. They've lost 3 straight. They did cover last night, depending on where you got the number, because that line did move up to 5. So they did cover last night, scored 120 points against the Charlotte Hornets. This is a game that I also don't have a lot of interest in. I don't want to lay points with the Wizards, even though you could just take them on the money line at like a -130 with them laying 2 points. San Antonio's been feisty, man. They've been a much better defensive team lately. I looked at a bunch of queries as well. It's not a lot to love in this spot. Washington will be home for a while. They got Denver coming up, first leg of a back-to-back. They do play tomorrow. And after that, they got the Timberwolves and they got the Jazz. So they probably won't win a game, anytime soon. We also got to remember that Both of these teams just have 7 wins. San Antonio 7-34, whereas Washington 7-33. So more recent form, I would say the Spurs are, more recent form. They're a better team. They've been playing a little bit better defense, especially with Victor Wembanyama on the floor. But I just don't like the spot being that it's their 4th straight road game. I know that they get Victor back, but they also have the rest disadvantage. So I couldn't really play this game. Didn't really look into too many queries. What are you guys thinking about this one? Shadow says take Wemby points in this one and move on to the next game. Oh man, okay. Let's see. Nobody else got thoughts on this game? I'll be trying to find angles, even when people say, there's no angle. I'm always trying to find an angle. Even if it's just like a sprinkle. Markel says he's gonna pass on this game. Bond says Tyus Jones over his assist. This is I hadn't thought about that. This is a brother revenge, not revenge, but a brother game, right? Where you have both brothers starting against each other. They probably will be competitive against each other. Tyus Jones versus Trey Jones. Bond says he likes Tyus Jones over his 6.5 assists. Last 3 games, he's averaging 14 potential assists in a high-paced game versus a bad defense. Only 1 play for him. Tyus Jones over 6.5 assists. That's the brother that plays for who does Tyus play for? Trey plays for San Antonio. Tyus plays for Washington. Okay. Markel likes Vic. He's like Wemby's blocks now. Coop also saying Tyus Jones over 19.5. He likes the points and assists. Spurs will give it up to anybody, and Jones coming off a 2-point game versus little brother. Think he's going to show out today? I can see that. Jabari says like both Jones brothers to go over their assists, so he likes both of them. Michael, you can't put T Jones. I guess you can because trade number's not going to be as high as Tyus, but both of their names start with a T. He says T Jones over 19.5 points and assists. Can't let baby bro come in and get the W. Call me Eric says Victor. He says Wemby about to go crazy against Gafford. Gafford got ruled out. Concussion. He's still ruled out today. I want to say. Didn't I see that? And then on the opposite side, you do have Marvin Bagley down there. Brian says first quarter over 59, maybe. He thinks no defense at the beginning of the game. I could potentially see that. The Wizards have been god awful in the first quarter of games as well, too. Like they're one of the worst quarters, especially at home. They typically lose the first quarter by margin. I had forgot about that. Fading the Wizards in the first quarter of home games has been something extremely successful. So maybe San Antonio first quarter ATS with Victor Wembanyama back, and not that they're an old team. They probably won't run out of gas, even though it is the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't think fatigue plays too much of a factor, but if they are, then maybe you get in with them early and get out. San Antonio first quarter against the spread, maybe. These are angles that I'm gonna look into a little bit more when we get off the show. But just like I said, I just want to talk it out with you guys, see what you guys are on. Call me said Gafford out, even better. Yeah, I think he's out. They're gonna start Marvin Bagley and give him heavy minutes again. Atachi, he says, isn't one of your trends active on this 6 game in 10 days or something? Road Dogs non-conference. Let me look into that real quick, Atachi. Let's see what we got there. So I like to look at teams that are playing their 5th game in 7 nights. I also like to look at teams that are playing their 5th game in 8 nights as well. Let's see if San Antonio is in one of those spots. They could potentially be. But the problem with that is that Victor Wembanyama has been sitting in and out of these games. He impacts them a lot. So let's see who is in a 5th game in 8 nights today. We got the Spurs in that spot. So, yeah, it could be a fade of the Spurs. We got the Hawks in that spot. We also got the Knicks and the Thunder in that spot as well. So 4 teams in their 5th game in 8 nights. Let's add that they're a road dog as well. Since the 2018 season, they only win the game about 28% of the time. So this says back the Wizards here. This says back to the Wizards. I'm glad you brought this up, Atachi, so I could look at it really, really quickly. So I'll share my screen real quick and show you guys. This is what you guys see is teams playing 5th game in 8 nights since the 2018 season. They're road dogs. 325 and 823. 28.3% of the time they cover. You guys can see here that is active on a couple games. The Spurs, this is from a straight up perspective. ATS wise, they are covering still almost half of the time. But Spurs and Wizards, you can see here a long line of losses, more losses than wins here. These games go under, it looks like, at a pretty high rate as well. Active on the Spurs, active on the Thunder, and tomorrow it'll be active on the Pacers as well, against the Suns, which I didn't even see this line out. Looks like the Suns will be laying 4.5 tomorrow in a really high pace game. 246 is a total. Probably like the Suns in that spot. I think this is a Sun spot, especially with the Pacers not having their chemistry yet. So just kind of looking ahead. What about if it's a short line? Let's see if they're projected just to lose the game by like 3 points. It's a close game. Oh, I definitely did that wrong. Hold on. Not really that strong anymore. Not when it's just a close game. Kind of goes either way. So that's enough to kind of talk me off of this. You see it 44% of the times they win, which still gives the advantage, 56% to the Washington Wizards. But you really want to be putting your money on the Wizards when the Spurs, I think, are in much better form? I'm not sure. Let's see what you guys are looking at here. Vaughn says, taking a look at Bagley rebounds coming off that double-double. I can see that, Vaughn. Brandy says, hey, Thunder money line today? I'm actually looking the other way, Brandy. I haven't gotten to that game yet. I don't have a play yet either, but I don't think the Thunder win that game today. I could be completely wrong, though. But I will tell you guys what I'm looking at. Coop says a fun little lotto for him today. He going Jones Brothers together, Tyus and Trey, to record a double-double if you build it out on FanDuel. Says he got it at plus 36.91 today. Both teams recorded triple-double. I mean, a double-double. Both brothers. Laugh says, Leif says, I think it's how you pronounce that. I'm sorry if I butchered that. He says, what's good, Chris? Happy Saturday. Everyone smash the like button. Love the show. Appreciate that as well. Tachi says, add non-conference. Oh, let's do that. In not conference. Ooh, okay. So it does get a little bit better for the Wizards in this spot. Tachi, you like this? You like the Wizards today, man? Let me know if you liking the Wizards, man. I need to know. Okay. Tasha says she likes the Timberwolves over OKC. I'm with you there, Tasha. I think it's a Timberwolves spot as well. Brian says first quarter, plus a half a point is official for him. I'm gonna look into that as well, Brian. I think that's a good angle. Brandy says she likes the Spurs and the Timberwolves. She says, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you for being here as well, Brandy. Tasha says she's not touching the Spurs. Tachi says, hell no, he doesn't like the Wizards. All right, let's keep going, man. Next game, we won't spend a lot of time on this one either. 76ers on the road against the Hornets today. So real quick on this one, I think injury report is probably the most indicative. This is a game that I just don't think that Philly's going to take, care that much about. I mean, the two games against the Eastern Conference, the two games against the Eastern Conference teams that they wanted to be, their previous two games, I think they cared a lot more about, right? You got Denver coming in. That was a nationally televised game. They were able to get the win. They didn't even have a letdown last night, but it is the second leg of a back-to-back. Of course, they're coming off the game against Orlando. Who cares about beating Charlotte? Charlotte is 9-30. They've already smashed Charlotte one time early this season. I want to say they beat them by like 40 in a game where Embiid absolutely went crazy. I remember watching that game thinking to myself, like, man, this doesn't even look like he's playing against NBA competition. He dominated Nick Richards. I want to say Mark Williams was out. He could have been in, honestly. That game was 135-82. They beat him by 53 points. And they were laying 12 in that spot. I'm not sure what to do with this game. I do think that Philly can win this game by margin if they wanted to. But like I said, injury-wise, something we got to take into consideration because Philly did play yesterday. Joel Embiid could potentially sit in this game. He's listed as a game-time decision, toss up the play. I'm not sure why he plays. Same thing with Patrick Beverley. Philly also does have a lot of other injuries also. Robert Covington remains out. Mo Bamba is going to be out for this game. DeAnthony Milton, who's going to be reevaluated, is not going to play in this game. LaMelo, on the opposite side, tossed up the play. Nick Richards, who missed yesterday, also a toss up the play. No Bryce McGowens for this game. Gordon Hayward is still out. And you still don't have Mark Williams as well. I have no idea what to do with this game. The first thing I looked at road favorites, and this came out to be about even. Road favorites, they were laying double digits on no rest. and that came out to be 74 and 68. So about 52%. Not enough to make me want to play it. It has been successful over the last couple years, but to me, I can't lay 10 if I don't know the status of Joel Embiid. So I'll just leave it there. Also, we don't know the status of LaMelo Ball, so I think this is probably the best game for us to skip. I don't think this one means a lot at all. Let's see. Tasha says too many points for the 76ers. I would agree, man. Charlotte as a home dog this season. Let's just look at that real quick before we get off of this game. Maybe the under. If both of these teams are going to be missing star players, LaMelo means a lot to that team, we know. Hornets as home dogs this season are 7-7 against the number. They're losing by average of 9 points, average of 11 points, 119 to 108. Failed to cover the last 4 of the last 5 have actually gone under the total. This is when their offense was really struggling. 98 points against the Kings, 95 points against the Nuggets, 82 points against the Sixers. So not the greatest spot for them. Both teams on the second leg of a back-to-back. I have no idea what to do with this game. We got to figure out the injury news. Rob says he's going Hornets on the money line. Brian says Brook Lopez over 2.5 blocks going back to that first game. He said he had 4 and 5 in the first 2 games against the Pistons this season. That's a good look, Brian. I would actually agree with that. Pistons, I think, get their shot blocked more than any team in the league, so I cannot talk you off of that. Tasha also reminded us that Philly did have to travel from Orlando to Charlotte. Pretty short flight. If you guys have ever taken that flight, probably about an hour and a half at the most. Brian says Ball covered that 26 last night, 26 points with 26 seconds left. I told you I liked LaMelo yesterday. I didn't play him, though. Coop says, damn, I just realized Kelly Oubre will care about this game. If Embiid doesn't go, maybe it's the Kelly Oubre game, Coop. That's why I wanted to do the show with you guys today, man. I forgot Kelly Oubre back. Kelly Oubre has some, for people who don't know, Kelly Oubre has some very interesting words, how he talked about, leaving, and being on a contending team and playing winning basketball. He kind of took some shots at Charlotte. So I can see him getting up for this game as well. Tasha says stay away as a trap. Mayne says Embiid last 8 games against Charlotte is insane. They have nobody that can guard him. Tasha also liking the Ravens and the under 44.5. She says she's on that. I like both of the home favorites today. Those double-digit home favorites cash really, really consistently, so I couldn't talk you off. Atachi says, look at this. Season is great. Since the 2015 season, team has a win percentage that's lower than 25, and they're off a win, and the line is now they're catching 10 points and no rest. Let's see what Atachi done cooked up here, man. So he says, season, I wish I could copy and paste this, but I can't. He says, season is greater than 2015. Your win percentage is less than 25, so you're a horrible team. You're coming off a W, probably feeling good about yourself. The line is giving you 10 points, and you're unrested. What happens in this situation, Atachi? Let's see if I can enter it right. I just forgot a D and N. Let's see what we got. Oh, wow. God. All right, let's look at this real quick. I'll show you guys this. Shout out to Atachi, man, for helping me cap. Everybody for helping me cap the game. So what Atachi has here is since the 2015 season, teams that are terrible, 25% win percentage or less, coming off a win, getting 10 points, and they're unrested. They are 1-25 straight up, 4-21 against the spread, losing by an average of 20 points, 118 to 98, 10-15, 15-10 to the under. Man, that's a hell of a trend there, Atachi. Dang. Yeah, so if Embiid gets ruled in, I still want Embiid ruled in, but if Embiid gets ruled in, maybe there is that much of a separation gap between these two teams. I'm not 100% sure. But I do love this trend, Atachi. Shout out to you for sharing that, man. Y'all give Atachi a follow on Twitter too, man. Best by Atachi. He do a lot of SDQL work as well. He was on the show with me and Ronald when we did Let's Cap the other day. Estat says he likes the 76ers early. Brian says Embiid has been covering lately. Vaughn says Tobias Harris on this game, but got to see what the injury report says. He likes Tobias, but definitely an unmotivated spot for Philly. Yeah. Yannick says Rockets money line. What you think? We're going to talk about that game. Tasha says Philly travel -10.5. Don't think they can cover here. Charlie says, has LaMelo Ball ever played the 76ers? I'm not sure. You got to look into that one yourself, Charlie, but I think he has. I would say yes. Robert says when 76ers don't cover, they often lose straight up, and that is an absolute fact. We saw them get smoked against the Bulls. I remember the best that I placed, and I remember placing a bet for them to cover against the Bulls, and I took the first half. They didn't even win the game at all. So I do see that as well, Rob. Against the Knicks, more recently, lost that game outright by 20. I don't think that Charlotte has that kind of firepower. You definitely need LaMelo in. Vaughn likes Kelly Oubre's 4 threes and a win. Yeah, I think those are really good looks. Blunt money bet. Shout out to my guy Dream. Let's keep going. We got Cavs and we got Hawks. This is the game that I do feel pretty inclined about. I've been unsuccessfully fading the Atlanta Hawks for, some time now. We tried to do it last night, and they look, really, really good in that spot. This is the game that I actually do got notes on. So let's get to those notes real quick. Line moved, of course. This line opened with I didn't cap this game last night, but I probably should have. Could have got a much better number. But this line opened at 1.5 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. For the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road. It went up to 2, which is why I saw it this morning. Before I could give it out, it moved to 2.5. So I said, you know what? We'll just take the money line. It's now at 3. So I am on Cleveland in this spot. Total come down from 233 down to 229.5. I would agree with the movement there. We're seeing Atlanta actually play some defense. Atlanta actually cares about winning basketball games all of a sudden. I'm not sure what it was. They did it yesterday without Trae Young. Trae Young could potentially return in this game. Hopefully he does, and that throws things off. He's still questionable with that illness. You also got Bogdanovich questionable with that ankle injury. Karis LeVert doubtful right now for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs have been so good, though, man. I will tell you guys this, and I put it in the chat. I put it in the write-up earlier as well. The Cavs have not beat the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta in 5 seasons. In 5 matchups. It's been since the 2021 season, the last time that they've actually won. So when the games are in Atlanta beat them last year, March 28th. They beat them 120-118. The Cavs were 3-point dogs in that spot. February 24th, that game was in Atlanta last year. Atlanta beat them 136-119. Atlanta was laying 1 point, won that game pretty easily. For Cleveland, more recent form, this team has won 6 games in a row. They've covered 5 of their last 6 as well. Those games are going under because you see their defense really, really play really, really well. Held the Bucks without Giannis to 95 points. Chicago, 91 points. In Brooklyn, the game that was in London, 102 points. Struggled with San Antonio. They did give up 115 in that spot. That was the game that they didn't cover, but I think that was a look ahead to the game that was in Brooklyn as well. That was in London against Brooklyn. So I can't bet against Cleveland right now. They're a more rested team, of course. Atlanta, second leg of a back-to-back, had to travel, although it was a short travel from Miami back to Atlanta. They've won 3 straight, though. They did beat San Antonio on MLK Day. Been looking, straight since. Beat Orlando 106-104. I told you I liked Atlanta in that spot. It was a fade of Orlando, never really looking to back Atlanta, but I didn't lay the points with them, and I'm glad I didn't because they didn't cover that spread. Last night, back-to-back nights, matter of fact, DeJounte Murray has hit game winners, and they've actually gone under 5 straight games as well. Their defense has really improved. They only gave up 99 to San Antonio, 104 to Orlando, and last night only gave up 108 to Miami as well. So I do think that the under is the right play in this game. They should be a little fatigued. A couple of things I looked at, just kind of going to my notes in this game. Let's see real quick. Let me get to it. So Atlanta is just 2-5 straight up, 1-6 against the spread when they're unrested this season, including 6 straight outright losses. The Cavs, when they have the rest advantage, they're 5-2 straight up and against the spread when they're more rested than their opponent. One thing I looked at, so dating back to the 1995 season, so as far as the Killer Sports database goes, teams that are unrested. Hold on, let me see. Teams that are unrested, that's playing the teams that are unrested, that also won the game on the road as a dog, and now they're home dogs, no rest, remember, they're 106-204 straight up. So they only win in about a quarter of those games, a third of those games. That's 34.2%, which says that the Cavs win today 65.8% of the time, right? Unrested team that won as a dog on the road, having to travel, they don't win, right? Another thing I looked at was since the 2018 season, road favorites with 2 days of rest or more facing an unrested opponent, 63-14 straight up. That's 81.8%. and 49, 26, and 2 against the spread. That's 65.3% says that the Cleveland Cavaliers win and they cover this number. This season, that trend is actually 9-2 straight up, 7-3-1 against the spread as well. So you're looking at about 70% this year. So I did take the Cleveland Cavaliers in this spot. I think that they get the job done. What y'all on in this game? Anything? Let's see. Tasha says Hawks been covering. I would agree. Brian says not alone, Chris. Effing Murray, man. Do you think he's coming to the Lakers? Hey, Brian, this is what I'll say. If DeJounte gonna play like that, we probably got to make that trade, man. He knows his name is in trade rumors, and trying to go out there and do as much as he can to prove his value to the team. All the quotes coming from DeJounte, even before hitting the game winners, the couple few games. I love DeJounte Murray. I love him as a person. Like I listen to him in podcasts, and he always talk about sticking to himself and not really going out. He grew up really, really quickly. I love him outside of basketball. I just think it's not a good fit with him and Trae Young because they both need the ball. We saw these last couple games what he can do when Trae Young is not there. The assist prop that everybody was talking about at 6.5, he had that before the third quarter ended. And then he hits the game winner, back-to-back game winner. So if he want to keep playing like that, yeah, he can come to LA for sure. Lay says there's got to be a trend where teams would win back-to-back within one possession or off a buzzer beater back-to-back. I'm ready to sell the Hawks. I would agree there. I'll look a little bit more into that. Like maybe I'll write that one down as well. Maybe previous margin is a short one. So let me just write a quick note to myself to look into that. Teams that won by one possession as a dog, unrested. Then a dog again. Okay, I'll look into that. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. Appreciate you for shouting that out. S-Dot says back-to-back games, travel for the Hawks, Miami night. The ones that stuck out for an hour or two, play all out to the wire. Cavs rested. I would agree there. I'm interested to see, though. I don't think it was a Miami night out, though, because I'm pretty sure they probably jumped on the flight and headed right back home so they could sleep in their own bed and get home from the airport probably super late early this morning. I don't think it probably was a Miami night out. I don't know if you get a chance to celebrate that when you got to, travel back and, get to the next city, get back to your home city. I'm interested in that one. That's that. And Tasha says she's thinking that Atlanta covers here too. Oh, man, I hope not. Tasha. We'll see. I took the money line, though, so they can cover. Call Me Aries says Donovan Mitchell threes. He likes him over 3.5. Haven't failed him in a while. Hit 8 of his last 10 games. Okay. Brian says he's riding with me on the Cavs. Tasha says they play on December the 23rd. They played on December 23rd, and Atlanta won. Atlanta revenge here. Okay. S-Dot says going heavy on the Cavs and the Wolves today. Glad we're aligned here. Rob says, and can't talk anybody off waiting until Trae, is ruled in, just trying to, get the best of the number as soon as the news comes out, if you can catch it. He says, if Trae plays, I'm on the Cavs. S-Dot says, couldn't agree more on DeJounte Murray. Tasha says, I think Atlanta will win tonight since they lost on December 28th. I hope not, Tasha. I hope not. Jamie says, that's a straight edge. He's a straight edge. Yeah, Murray's nice, man. I like Murray a lot. John says, if ChrisBeCappinn picks a side, I'm on it. Hey, it's not always that easy, John. I was on the Pelicans last night, man, but most of the time I am winning on these sides. We'll see how it goes, though. S-Dot says he's one of the few players that got me money. I think he's talking about DeJounte. Takri says Killian Hayes for 10 points today. Absolutely not. I don't care if you're playing the Bucks or not. I have never taken Killian Hayes. I got a lot of things to do on a Saturday that's not involving putting Killian. If I'm taking Killian Hayes, it's under or I'm not playing it. Vaughn says, as my money would say, the Hawks teetering on a loss. Oh, I think he means as J Money would say, Hawks teetering on a loss. Yeah, they shouldn't have won yesterday. Tachi says this one of those 2 days of rest versus unrested we talked about the other day since 2021. Away favorites in conference, 29-2 against the spread. 69% says that they win the game today. I like this one, Itachi. It aligns with what I said as well. Michael says, you got any football looks today? I do. What time do the football games even start? I didn't even look and see what time they actually start. I just play some player props, but I like the favorites. NFL is tricky though, man. If I play NFL, it's typically really light. I haven't really even been sharing my NFL plays. Games don't start until 4:30. Well, 3:00. But no, 4:30. 4:30. We got Ravens. I like the Ravens to win and cover. I think if you like the Texans, might as well put a little sprinkle on the money line. Also, I like in that Texans game, I like Devin Singletary to go under his rush attempts. The number is 16.5. I just kind of feel like game script with Baltimore being 9.5-point favorites. And they're also one of the best rush defenses in the league. I can't remember the numbers right off the top of my head, but Buffalo allows the second. I'm sorry, I keep saying Buffalo. Baltimore allows the seventh fewest rushing attempts on the season because their rush defense is so good. They also dominate time of possession. I want to say they're top 7 in time of possession. So you don't really get a chance to possess the ball. We know they get long, methodical drives, down the field with with the way they run their offense. They run the ball a lot, chew up a lot of clock. So that's my top play. Devin Singletary to go under his rush attempts at 16.5. I played at 15.5 as well. I think he's under the number in like 7 of his last 9 games as well. So that's probably my favorite player prop in that game, just kind of looking through it. And then CJ Stroud. I think if they're going to keep the game close, you do got to look at his passing attempts. I think my guy Munoz on his passing attempts. So getting off track just a tad bit, but CJ Stroud to throw 2 touchdowns and Devin Singletary to go under his rushing attempts would be my 2 top plays in that game, Michael. What else? Sam Merrill over threes at 2.5 potential ladder spot. I can see that, Vaughn. Could definitely see that. He's been shooting the ball well for them. John says a little late, but keep the points. Told y'all Blazers will win yesterday. Yeah. If you bet any dogs yesterday, you pretty much won except Orlando. What else we seeing here? James, appreciate you for tapping in as well. As always, my brother. Leif says Ravens in top 5, basically every metric on defense. They've been dominant. I like that Singletary look. Yeah, that's what I would look like. I would look at. Tasha likes Isaiah. She says likely anytime touchdown today. Isaiah Pacheco, I'm guessing you mean. Brian says Ravens first half. He likes the minus the 6.5. So for them to have a 10-point a touchdown lead, and he likes the first half to go over. Those double-digit home favorites in the playoffs do tend to trend towards the over as well. Atachi says for whoever asks, teams off back-to-back wins within 2 points are ATS-wise, they're 22-31, 22-39-1, 36%. No other parameters since 2010. Shout out to my guy Tachi, man. I ain't even need to look at that. So there's teams of back-to-back wins that are close back-to-back wins. You only winning by 2 points or less. You don't tend to keep that up for too long. And I do think it's a fade spot for him here in this spot, Tachi. I appreciate you sharing that. Philip says he likes likely is the Ravens tight end. I'm not sure what that means. Isaiah Pacheco and Kansas City. Yeah, Pacheco. All right, let's keep going. We got a couple more games to get to, and this Bucks game actually about to start. No play on the Bucks for me. I'm not touching that game. Maybe something live. I do lean towards the over, though. I do think that I know that Tachi had a strong trend towards the under. I think the game goes over, though. I think Milwaukee is going to be able to score. I don't think that they're going to play any defense. Like, till I see it, I just can't. I can't back it, especially on the road. We'll see how it goes. Next game up. So Hawks on the money. I'm Cavs on the money line. I got it at minus 130, minus 135 is the way I chose to play it. Feel like the Hawks got to run out of steam here eventually. Let's keep going. We got Jazz and we got Rockets. 3 more games to get to real quick. So this game actually opened with the Rockets laying 2.5 points. You see the money come in. It's actually down to 1.5 on some spots, at 2 at other places. Total is moving as well. It's moving up 232.5 up to 234. That could be a play on the Jazz, offense, which been top 5. I talked about them the other day against OKC. Rockets haven't really been playing that much offense, but the Jazz are playing at a pretty fast pace as well. So looking at this game, I didn't really dive too much in this one. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking. If y'all got trends y'all want me to look at, or, Atachi, if anything you have, definitely shout that out as well. I'm looking at this game. First thing that jumps out, injury report. Reggie Bullock out today. Dylan Brooks looks like he's going to play. They still will be without Tari Eason. Utah, pretty healthy team. right? So we got different venues for these teams. I think that's the biggest thing. And I also want to note that they did play earlier this season. Houston came to no, they didn't. I'm sorry, that was last year. First meeting of the two teams this season specifically. So Utah, they actually played 5 straight games at home. They won all of them except that last one against OKC. OKC, desperation spot off back-to-back losses to the Lakers and the Clippers. That makes a lot of sense. From a rest perspective, Utah doesn't play again until the 23rd, which is when? Tuesday? So they got quite a few games off. I don't have to tell you guys how good they've been. 7-3 against the number, of course. 6-1 against the number of their last 7 games. This team is, really, really good. They do start a road stand. They got to play against the Pelicans coming up. Looking at Houston, first game for them back home, typically a flat spot. They were abysmal. They were terrible on the road. They played 6 straight road games. They lost every single one of them outside of a 2-point win to Detroit. Didn't cover any of the spreads. So you're asking a team to come home and win a game, which can, be a flat spot. Although they did have 2 days of rest in between. They haven't played since they lost to the Knicks. Lost that game by double digits. Lost to Philly by double digits. Lost to Boston by almost triple digits. They lost that game by 32. And then also lost to the Bulls before they beat Detroit as well. So not the greatest spot. Also the first leg of a back-to-back for them as well. They got the Boston Celtics tomorrow. The angry, frustrated Boston Celtics is what I think, especially the way they lost that game yesterday with their home winning streak coming to a loss. So what are you guys thinking about this one? Like I said, I haven't really, created anything, looked at anything, but I kind of feel like, and it's square, but Utah plus the points. I know the line's coming down. I think Houston, we know that they're much better at home. They're in a desperation spot as well. But I feel like Utah got a tad bit too many guns in this spot from an offensive perspective. I also feel like they got bodies they can throw at Sengun. And you're going to have to outscore this team, man. I know Houston, the defense has really, really slipped lately. They have not been the greatest defensive team. And that's what they kind of pride themselves on. Udoka prides himself on defense. Pretty sure you've been talking about that, pretty sure that, like I said, it's a desperation spot. So I don't necessarily want to bet against Houston in this spot, but I feel like Utah should be able to score. So maybe Utah team total over. I'm just talking it out with you guys. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. See what we got. And that's going back to football. He says definitely a tight end week. He likes Dalton Schultz, Kittle, likely going to cook in his opinion. I could definitely see that. Yeah, I could see both of those. Jay Gill says he likes the Jazz, but that seems too easy, right? I would agree. I would agree in this spot as well. John C says if the Bucks didn't get manhandled by the Cavs last game, I'd be all over the over versus the Pistons. All over the over and the Pistons to cover. I would agree there, John. That's one of the reasons why I didn't play the over. I still lean over because like I said, the Detroit defense is terrible as well. Brian says Utah plus 2. What he has, I think we all kind of agree with that. Shadow says he likes Fred VanVleet assists in this one. Jazz been giving up the most assists to the point guard position. I would agree there. He says I think Sengun can eat, and most Fred assists are going to him. That's solid, Shadow. Coop says this feels like a Rocket spot, in his opinion, coming off a bad road trip. I know the Rockets are the better home team, and the Jazz might come back to earth coming off that hot homestand. That makes a lot of sense as well, Coop. One of the reasons why I'm probably going to stay off of this game, even if I look a little more into it. Maybe a live look. Jazz haven't played outside of Utah in, over a week and a half. Houston hasn't played in Houston in over probably 2 weeks, honestly. John says lay off the game, but he leans Jazz as well. And that says love the Cavs look. Been playing very well and agree Atlanta got to cool off. Tasha says she likes the Jazz plus 2. Doesn't sound like a lot of opinions there. So we'll move on. I do lean Jazz plus the 2, though. I know that seems pretty square, and I don't like necessarily fading Houston, especially off that what they're going through right now. They've been getting smoked. They are due to regress and become better. What do? They typically do it at home. It could take a while to get their footing back. Also, if you're the Rockets, you probably want to win this game because you're probably not beating the Celtics tomorrow. So I can see the Rockets going all out for this game and, not in a good spot when you're unrested and got to play against the Celtics. That's not good, no matter if you're at home or on the road. So, yeah, I guess I kind of lean. That makes me lean more Rockets, right? But if I'm playing the Rockets, I don't want to lay too much, so I'm probably just playing the money line. These are just my initial thoughts. Like I said, I got to dive a little bit more into it. Dante says, have have to ask yourself, the Rockets been playing bad, Jazz been playing lights out, and the Rockets are favorite. That's a strong, strong point. We know that the Jazz were really bad on the road, right? Until they started winning those games on the road, this was a team that you could almost blindly fade on the road and then play on them at home, right? Kind of like this is the same thing for the Jazz, and the same thing for the Rockets, right? The Rockets can't touch them on the road. The Jazz couldn't touch them on the road, and you wanted to play on both of them at home as well. The Jazz are just what, 7-15? So you're asking them, if you're asking them to cover, you're asking them to win. They haven't been profitable on the road, whereas Houston is 15-6 on the road. I'm sorry, 15-6 at home. So that's an excellent point, Dante. Recent form, though, you would kind of look towards Utah. It makes it a really tricky game for me. Like I said, no play for me at all. Atachi, real quick, he says, got a fade spot for both sides. One coming off 5-game road trip, one coming off a 5-game homestand. But Jazz have looked a lot better than the Rockets. And I would agree. I just kind of feel like from an offensive perspective, if the Rockets don't slow the game down and they play at the tempo that the Utah Jazz want to play at, I don't think that they have enough offense in this spot. I do not. When you got Colin Sexton, Keontae George, Fontecchio, Obaji, Lauri Markkanen, I think that that's just too much for this Houston team. And it should be a Houston spot, desperation spot for sure. If I'm playing the game, I'm probably looking at the Jazz team total to go over. The number is what? It's a 2-point spread. Total's 234, 117. 117. So you probably can get 116. 115. What is that? 117 to 115. So a Jazz team total over 115.5. I think that's probably the way I would look. Let's get through the last couple games real quick. We got Thunder and we got T-Wolves. Line open, Timberwolves laying 2.5 points. As home favorites, of course. And total opened at 230.5. It's down just a tad bit to 229. Head-to-head, these teams have played each other twice already this season, so this is going to be the third matchup. And both teams have taken care of business at home specifically, right? So the Timberwolves won that game, and they're in really good form. If you're betting against the Timberwolves at home, man, you gotta have a super sharp angle. OKC is not necessarily the worst road team. They're 12-8, straight up. And if you're taking the spread, you really just need them to win the game. So they are profitable on the road. They're profitable as a road dog as well. But the Timberwolves are 17-2. And if you're taking them, minus the 3 in this spot, you're really just asking them to win the game by possession. So 17-2, 12-7 against the spread at home as well. We're looking there. Timberwolves 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. OKC 5-5 against the spread in their last 10. OKC, not the greatest spot, which is one of the reasons why I like the Timberwolves. They did get a win, but this is their 4th straight road game after beating Utah 134-129 the other day. And they go back home. They do have, 3 days off of rest, 2 days off of rest before they play the Portland Trailblazers coming back up on, it looks like Tuesday. But I kind of want to fade them just because it's the last game of a road trip. I could be wrong for that, but last game of a road trip, and you got to play the Timberwolves, who are the second best home team in the league outside of Boston, who just has 1 home loss. It does kind of feel like a Minnesota spot. Minnesota has been at home. We know that they just beat the Timberwolves. It took them a while to kind of get their footing in that game. It wasn't until the 4th quarter when they blew the Timberwolves out and still ended up covering that 12.5-point number. They didn't cover the first quarter, first half, but they did get there on the full game just because I think they won the 4th quarter by like 20 points. So you see what they can do when they absolutely have to turn up. At home against competition, I want to say that they're a really good team as well. And no look-ahead spot. They already played 1 home game. This will be a home game. And they get Charlotte coming up next. They actually got the easiest schedule for the next 10 games. They got Charlotte, Washington, Brooklyn. So, very, very winnable games for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. So I kind of lean Timberwolves. I think the one thing that I looked at in this game was that kind of made me look Timberwolves was just that situational spot I kind of talked about. So home favorites on a 2nd straight home game. These are 2 really good teams. So win percentage above 60% for both teams. You got one team that's playing the 2nd straight home game and they're a favorite. You got the other team that's on the 3rd game of a road trip. Those teams since the 2015 season are 53-17 straight up. So if I'm playing the Timberwolves, I'm probably just playing the money line. Probably trying to give me a -140, a -135, -145-ish. And I'm just taking the money line. That's 75.7% of the time, right? And I do think that is apparent in this situation. What y'all think about the Timberwolves today? Y'all, anybody think OKC can win the game outright? I mean, anything's possible. Dogs do bark on the weekends, but I want to look real quick. This is one thing I meant to look at, but didn't get a chance to. I wanted to look at the Timberwolves at home. And their opponent has a really good win percentage. So win percentage above 60 or above. And I'll share the screen with you guys. I kind of thought it was this, right? Whenever you see the Timberwolves against really good competition, Anthony Edwards gets up for those, for those games. And it's going to be it's a lot of, all-star implications for this game specifically as well. And SGA, being compared to, as he should be, I'm not saying who's better. SGA is having a hell of a season. What you guys see here is the Timberwolves at home, and they're playing against a team that has a 60% win percentage or better. 5-0 straight up, 4-0-1 against the spread, winning those games by average of 9 points. 4-1 to the under as well. They've held every one of their opponents under their team total. The only game that went over was that Celtics game at the beginning of the season when they were that game went to overtime. I know you guys probably remember that game. They won that game as well. So everything that I just kind of said makes me lean Timberwolves. I haven't played it yet. Like I said, I probably look towards the money line. We know OKC is a feisty team. I don't necessarily like fading OKC. I think as a dog on the road, this is an OKC spot, right? But I do think that when I'm thinking about the game from an X's and O's perspective, they struggle with teams that have length, right? I think about them losing to the Lakers twice. I think about them losing to this Minnesota team as well. Teams that have length give OKC some trouble. They typically do. OKC is 6-4 as a straight up as a road dog. So they've been profitable, 60%, 6-3-1 against the spread. That's 66% as well. But they have lost the last two when they've been a road dog. One of those games came against the Hawks after they beat the Boston Celtics. Then they just lost to the Clippers as well. So the Clippers and the Timberwolves, are they that close to where you think that you would just, take those teams against the Thunder, especially when the Thunder are in OKC? I kind of think so. Both of these teams off 1 day's rest. Agree with the total coming down. Timberwolves can struggle to score. OKC and Timberwolves also play slow. OKC should struggle to score. I think the Timberwolves step up for this spot. So I lean under. Also lean Timberwolves. If I'm playing them on the money line. What do y'all think here? Let's see what we got. Vaughn, going back to the last game, he says, I like the Jazz team with all their pieces and they're fully healthy. I agree with that. Tasha says, what about that team total over 116.5? That's what I said, Tasha. Kind of stay away from the spread. I think if Utah's going to be competitive, they're going to have to score points in this one. Jay Gill says, maybe Houston first half. Get in and get out. Maybe, Jay Gill. But teams typically are flatter in the first half, in their first game back home. But you make a good point because they've been so flat, you might want to give it everything you have early. I'm not sure. I probably won't be playing the first half. Tasha says home team's first half sounds good to her. 96 Problem says Rockets blow out the Celtics last time. Look ahead for Udoka. So this is the thing, 96 Problems. I don't think you can really have a look ahead when you lost, 5 games in a row, 5 of your last 6 of your last 7 either. I don't really think you can look ahead. I think you got to play the game that's in front of you. I could be totally wrong. But I don't think you can look ahead. I did not go through the Raptors in the Knicks game. Why didn't I go through the Raptors in the Knicks game? I'm not sure. We'll go through that game, Glow Boy. I don't know if I made a banner for that game. Brian likes the Timberwolves. He said Timberwolves for him. Jay Gill says the square and me wants OKC. Vaughn says taking the Timberwolves money line with the Cavs money line. Tasha says she took the -3 with the Wolves. Vaughn says Gobert rebounds as well. Brian says Jazz team total over 116.5 looks good. Hude says I would take the Wolves. So a lot of love for the Wolves. Lee says he likes Chet threes today. He says we know Gobert doesn't rotate. But to me, it screams Timberwolves on the last leg of the road trip in the under. Got to play Chet threes, though. I would agree. Rudy Gobert's not going to want to go out there and guard him. This is kind of like if you watched the Boston Celtics in the Denver game last night. This is like Porzingis versus Jokic. Yeah, you definitely. I don't know why I didn't take the threes last night. He's not going to want to get out there. Coop says a fun look Chet threes ladder. So we got more love for Chet threes. He said yesterday He had his high school. I did see this. He had his yesterday. He did get his jersey retired by his high school with no Josh Giddey being there. That's what I saw too. They let Josh Giddey into high school, man. He says, no, Rudy Gobert not gonna want to go out there to that 3-point line. Chet will showcase in his hometown. I could not talk you off. Brian says, what about Chet points, rebounds, and assists under? I would have to look a little bit more into that one, Brian. But I do think that he could get to the threes ladder for sure. Tasha says she liked the Timberwolves spot at home. McLean says Thunder. And Thunder is my team, but can admit, not a great spot for us in this one. Tachi got a trend for us. He says since the 2017 season, divisional battles between two teams that have a 65% win percentage or better. Over under 30 and 15 to the under. 66.6% trend. 66.7% trend says to take the under in this spot. I would agree with that, Tachi. I think this is a really good trend. Appreciate you for sharing that. Brian likes the Houston Cougars. First half, 28-14 cash. Brilliant says, thanks for the Lakers analysis. Thankfully, it was just first half I took. Man, second half choke. Yeah, if you played the Lakers last night, whew, boy. Call Me Aries says he likes Jalen Williams over 16.5 points. No way I can talk you up. Jalen Williams been hooping. He's been hooping. And also, he could get increased usage as well. I'm not sure if Lou Dort's going to play in this game. I think I forgot to mention that. I don't think he's been ruled in yet. He's still questionable. I think it's an illness that he's dealing with. S. says 16-unit hammerlock bet on the Wolves. Do not do that. I know he's laughing. He's just kidding. I know he's not. I know my guy not putting 16 units on the Timberwolves, especially on the weekend. Especially on the weekend. Let's keep going. We got 2 more games to get to. So we'll go back to the Knicks game in a second. Let's talk about a little bit about. And like I said, if you join late, hit the like button for me if you can. If I get 200 likes, I'll do a Sunday show for you guys. 200 likes on this video, we'll do a Sunday show. Grizzlies and Bulls, another game I didn't really look into too much. So let's look into it together real quick. I know that I talked to my guy, Ronald. We were texting back and forth. He said, man, I really want to play the over in this game. And you do see the total move up just a tad bit. It opened at 215.5. It's up to 216.5. So some money coming in on the over, enough to push it up a full point. Spread hasn't really moved a lot. 7.5 for the Chicago Bulls. The big news in this game is the Zach LaVine news, right? We know that we didn't really want to play on the Bulls with Zach LaVine. He's not going to play. Ankle injury, going to be reevaluated. He probably just not going to play. They probably trade him. He probably didn't play this last game in Chicago. We'll see how it goes. Patrick Williams also listed as questionable. And Torrey Craig remains out as well. For the for the Memphis Grizzlies, Xavier Tillman, to add to that long list of everybody else that's out, all those starting guards. I'm not going to name off all the list, but Xavier Tillman also listed as questionable now with a knee injury. I mean, if you're Memphis, I'm probably like, trade me, bro, because I don't want to get hurt. And it seems like everybody's getting hurt for this team. So I'm not 100% sure what to do here. Head-to-head, first matchup of the season, of course. Memphis didn't cover that last game, but it was really because they kind of ran out of gas late. This is a team, I talked about this. This is a team that sneakily, they're going to cover these numbers, especially when they're at home as a dog. It's going to be really hard to be motivated to play against these second unit players that the Memphis Grizzlies have. Guys like John Conchar, not to say that Luke Kennard is definitely a starter in this league, but he's also like a bench player as well. It's going to be hard to get up for these guys. Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams Jr. I'm not 100% sure the Bulls are going to get up for this game. It's also a non-conference game. So Chicago's been playing really good defense. They've been playing a little bit faster, especially without Zach LaVine as well. I think I do kind of lean towards the over, like I told you guys, Ronald said. Memphis has been able to score a little bit more than what they've been expected to score. And if Chicago's going to play with pace, I do think this one can get up and over the total. I don't really want to take the points with Memphis in this spot. Eventually, they'll have a flat spot. But that last game was on TNT against Minnesota the other day. So, you kind of want to get up for the TNT games. This game, not a conference game. They could potentially get smacked in this spot. They could absolutely get smoked. I don't want to touch the game. Don't trust the Bulls. Kind of want to see them play a couple more times. I'm just really not into laying 7.5 points with Chicago either. What do you guys think about this one? I just kind of gave you guys my thoughts. I didn't play anything. Coop, I agree with this. He says J-Dub is a road warrior. Jay Gill says these weekend games are dangerous for sure. Yeah, I would scale back a little bit on the weekends. Find what you absolutely love, throw everything else in the trash, and leave your leans, let them be leans. I definitely recommend going lower value though. Let's see. Y'all got any thoughts on this game? Vaughn says Levine out. Give me the Bulls. Kobe White, maybe Kobe White. Malik, right on point. He says Derrick Rose back home. Maybe they play hard for him. Potentially, he's not playing in this game. It'd be nice to see Derrick Rose out there. That's not liking the over with me as well. McLean says I can't lay so much with the Bulls. Love them without Levine, but weekend NBA usually kicks his ass, and I would agree. I go super light on the weekends, man. Tasha says Grizzlies half team out like the Bulls in this spot. She's gonna go with what makes sense. McLean also saying keep it light today. Brian says Kobe threes with Zach LaVine out. I could definitely see Kobe White threes. I'm gonna actually write that down. Kobe White points, Kobe White threes. His usage should go back up again. Not a lot of player props that I'm liking today, but I do like this one. Kobe White threes. He's been shooting a ton of them. Memphis doesn't defend the 3-point line too well, so I could definitely see Kobe White threes. I'll write that one down, Brian. Malik says also look to support the Bulls in the first quarter or half. So maybe get in and get out with the Bulls and they don't cover the full game. Vaughn says want to get there with Vooch rebounds. I know I talked about that in the last game against Toronto. He covered their line pretty easily. If Xavier Tillman isn't in, they're going to be really short at the center position. So I can see that, Vaughn. Young Harlow says total in the Bucks game is 248.5 right now. 51 total points at the moment. Just took the under at plus 110. What is going on in that game? I don't even have it on. Should probably have it on so I can be able to make a live bet too and, finish up this show so we can get there real quick. Let's see what's going on in that game. If I can get into my iPad. Let's go to it real quick. And then I'll make a banner for the last game as well. He says, no, they're scoring. Yeah, I'll give you a little tip on that. A little quick tip on that, Young Harlow. You want to take these, if you see a high scoring quarter, let it finish first, right? If you're interested in playing an under, let that high scoring quarter finish first. Take the total at the end of the first quarter, end of the first half, end of the third quarter. Don't typically do it in the middle of the quarter because for whatever reason, high scoring quarters are high scoring quarters, and low scoring quarters are low scoring quarters. If y'all cap totals, y'all know exactly what I mean. Last game on the board. Dante says Pistons third plus 3.5 first quarter about the cash. I told y'all not to trust that Bucks defense. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll see how it goes. It's still early. Let me make a banner real quick for the last game. We are going Raptors versus Knicks in the Garden. The line is what, 7.5 last time I checked? 7.5. Total, 229. Total comes down, right? No, goes up. Open at 227.5, up to 229. So this is actually one of the first totals for a Knicks game where you actually see the total go up since the trades happened between RJ Barrett, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam. Detroit got 36 points. Y'all excuse me for a second, man. Detroit got 36 points and the Bucks just lost by 40. I just gotta take a second, bro. Ain't no pride in the NBA no more, man. Ain't no pride in the NBA no more. Bucks defense is so bad. Let me get back to the show though. My fault, man. Let's get back to the show. All right, so going back to this game, Raptors and the Knicks. So the Raptors came back home off the West Coast road trip. I want to say they played 3 games at home. They are 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. Knicks been hooping. We know that they've been hooping. Even though they didn't cover that last game against the Washington Wizards on the second leg of that back-to-back, they are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. Toronto, 3 home games since the trade. They are 1-2 straight up, 1-2 against the spread. Lost to Boston, didn't cover. Beat Miami, did cover. Lost to Chicago and didn't cover on the second leg of that back-to-back. So this spot is a third game in 4 nights for both teams. They do play back home. So, pretty bad travel spot when you got 3 straight home games. You got 1 game in New York. Then you got to go back home to play Memphis and the Clippers coming up. over the course of the next week. For the New York Knickerbockers, they've been at home for a while, 4 straight home game. They've covered one of those last 2, but they were without Jalen Brunson for one of those games. Of course, you got the revenge angle here, and the last thing I'll mention, this is the last home game of a 4-game homestand for them as well. They play Brooklyn in Brooklyn, so I mean, technically that's almost like a home game as well, and that game isn't played until Tuesday. So you got the Knicks not having to travel at all, equal amount of rest, also an extra day of rest after the game. And I'm pretty sure OG Anunoby is going to want to stick it to his old team. So is Jalen. So is RJ Barrett. So is Emmanuel Quickly as well. I was reading some reports this morning. Quickly said it's going to be hard not to get emotional. He don't cry when he watch movies or something like that at the end of sad movies, but he could definitely see himself coming potentially to tears in this game. Having that much of an emotional impact on him. Injury wise, Toronto still is going to be without Jakob Poeltl. I think that is major in this game. Josh Hart also listed as questionable with the knee injury. Immediately, y'all know what I was looking at in this spot. I think, I automatically start with this spot when I'm looking at any Knicks game. Opposing team total to go under, right? Now, matchup-wise, Quickly has a really good matchup because I do feel like you put OG Anunoby on RJ Barrett. I think so anyway, because he's the bigger guy. He's the more physical guy, which to me, Dante DiVincenzo is going to have to end up guarding Quickly. You don't want Brunson to do it because then that's too much. That's too much pressure on him to be able to go down and score on the opposite side as well. So I think looking at Quickly points, I think is in play. I still like that team total to go under. I think it's like 110.5 for Toronto. I think they struggle to score that many points. Every other team has, right? Like we saw the Wizards not be able to score that many points. Toronto also coming off a game against Chicago where they only scored 110. They scored 96 against Boston, and the Knicks have the best defensive rating, the second best defensive rating, since acquiring OG Anunoby outside of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I do kind of lean towards that team total to go under. Probably, Quickly should be in the most advantageous matchup. Rebounds wise, Isaiah Hartenstein should be able to eat whatever it is that he wants on the boards. He should be able to have. Julius Randle double in a win couldn't talk you off. I think it's a lot of ways to play this Knicks game. Now, am I laying points with the Knicks? Absolutely not. Y'all know I'm not into that type of stuff. I don't like putting my money on the Knicks. And 7 is a pretty big margin. You almost asking the team to win by double digits. So I think Quickly is in probably the greatest spot here. What are you guys thinking about this game? Like I said, another game I didn't really dive too much into. I do think, like I said, Toronto, not the greatest spot. First game off a 3-game homestand. Also, they have equal rest, but they actually have to play on Monday, whereas the Knicks don't play again until Tuesday. So everything does kind of line up for the Knicks. We know that they've been, winning, holding teams under, their team totals. They outside of that Dallas game where they gave up 128 points, no other team has scored more than 109, which the Wizards did in that last game, but they won a second leg of a back-to-back in that spot. Let's see. What y'all thinking about here? I think people are laughing at me looking at Detroit Pistons got 40 points, bro, with 10 minutes left. And I didn't play the over. I told y'all it was an over spot. The Raptors plus the points in the first. I'm sorry, the Detroit plus the points in the first quarter. All that, man. This Bucks team, boy. Brian says Raptors plus 7.5. I think it's a tight game. Okay, I don't have any comments on the spread at all. Brilliant Trend says that guy betting under 248. I like shortening a breakout. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a breakout of shooting for sure. Tasha says, I told you, Bucks been losing games first half, but they won on the second half. Oh, man. ZPLC TV says Quickly threes and a ladder. He also says RJ Barrett points and ladder as a native New Yorker and Knicks fan. I'm taking both. Coop says, interested to see who OG guards between Scotty, Quickly, and RJ Barrett. I think he gets RJ, man. To me, it feels like RJ. It makes more sense for him to guard Scotty. They have more of a natural build. But who guards RJ if Scotty doesn't guard, if OG doesn't guard him? I don't think you can put Brunson on him. Maybe DiVincenzo. We'll see how it goes. Janice says Scotty spot? Potentially. I'm not sure what to do with the player props. Probably won't play anything. Coop says IQ to the moon today. He really likes Emmanuel quickly. Couldn't talk you off. Dante says Raptors first quarter plus the 2.5. Knicks 3-7 against the spread. Their last 10 home games in the first quarter. 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. 0-3 last 3. Raptors top 10 offensive rating in the first quarter over their last 5 games. They've been starting off hot, is what he says. And the Raptors been the better defensive rated team than the Knicks last 5 in the first quarter specifically. So Knicks not coming out with that edge early. It could change today, but we'll see. Tasha says -7.5 is chest pains for her. Coop says RJ rebounds over 5.5 is not a bad look as well. I can see him being really motivated versus his former team. Absolutely, he's been killing that rebounds line too. So I couldn't talk anybody off that. Could not talk you off at all. McLean says, I'm on Knicks first half and Hardenstein rebounds. So he likes that first half for the Knicks. Think they come out motivated in this spot. And Hardenstein to go over on his rebounds. I talked about liking that spot as well. So that's the show. We went through every single game. I will go back and put chapters up. An hour and 26 minutes. That's a long time, man. I don't know how many likes we got, but like I said, if we get 200, I'll do a show for tomorrow as well. Top look for me today. Like I said, I played the Cavs. On the money line, I think it was like -130, -135, something like that. Other looks that I'm potentially making, potentially could get there with. Not touching that Spurs and Wizards game. Best of luck if you guys do. Hornets and 76ers, we gotta wait. We don't know the status of no confirmation on lineups yet in that game, and that game is also played late tonight as well. Jazz and Rockets, I do think that team total for the Jazz is the best way to look in that game. I think they get out, try to push the pace, make the Rockets play fast like them. Thunder and the Timberwolves. Really like the Timberwolves. Probably going to end up pulling the trigger there. Haven't done so yet. Also like the under. Itachi had a really good 66.7% trend towards the under as well. Grizzlies and the Bulls. I like the over 216.5. That's extremely low total. I mean, you asking these teams to score pretty much like 108, 109 points apiece. I do think that they'll be able to get there. Non-conference game as well. Low total. To me, that screams over. It's not a game that either one of these teams are going to care too much about. So those are my thoughts on the game. And Raptors and Knicks, like I said, it'd be team total under for me on the Raptors. I know OG could, have a big game, but I think RJ gets slowed down, even though he'll probably shoot the ball a lot. And I think the Knicks dictate pace, which they typically do at home. And we see games go under, especially when the Knicks are at home. The Knicks are 9-1 to the under in their last 10 games. I know that this total's going up. I don't think I necessarily agree with it, even though Toronto has been playing a much faster pace. So those are my top thoughts. Isaiah Hardenstein rebounds. The couple looks that we talked about in the chat that I like. All of these are mentioned by you guys. San Antonio first quarter, get in and get out with them. Just fading the Wizards early. Probably won't get there, but I do like that. Kelly Oubre points if Embiid gets ruled out for me. Revenge spot for him against the Charlotte Hornets. Kobe White threes, I think, is a really good look as well. Forgot who mentioned that. I like that look a lot as well. So if y'all still here watching, it's 119 people still. Not sure how many watching on Twitter. Do me a favor, hit the like button for me. It's always appreciate it. Like I said, 200 likes on this stream, and we'll do a show for tomorrow as well. I think it's about 5 or 6 games. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat before we get off of here. Top looks of the day. What y'all thinking, man? Brian says, good luck to everyone. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you as well for tapping in, Brian. Best of luck to you as well today, my brother. Jay Gill says, appreciate it, Chris. Have a great weekend. ZPLC says, like the video, everyone, please. Zoned Up says, run that like button up. Coop says the same thing. Run those likes up. We're 122 away. We were 122 away. Okay, so I'm not sure how many we got. Zoned Up says, ain't that hard to click the like button, man. Tasha likes the Timberwolves. I think that's her best bet for her. Glowboy says, hit the like button. ZP says, it only takes 2 seconds. Tasha says, Timberwolves, Ravens, and 49ers. She likes the favorites today. I like these favorites as well with you, Tasha, here. Brilliant says he might tail on that Cleveland Cavaliers spot. Jay Gill says he's riding with Tasha. Glowboy says, unfortunately, I feel Lamar still does bad in the playoffs, and CJ comes through. It shocks the world. I said if you like the Houston Texans today, definitely put a little sprinkle on that money line. Don't take the points. Don't just take the points. Put a little sprinkle on the money line. What else we liking? Tasha says I flip-flop, but I see Atlanta getting it done today as well with the under 229.5 in that spot. I would agree with that, Tasha. Okay. John Bell says either the 49ers or Ravens will be upset today. He don't like both of the favorites to cash today. And S. Dot says top look for him. Cavs minus the 3 and Wolves. He likes the 49ers minus the 9.5 and the Ravens in the first half specifically to be up by at least 6 points. Minus 5.5 for him. TJ says, I like the Pistons plus 5 live. Hey, the thing about liking the Pistons live, TJ, is they run out of gas late. They could definitely run out of gas, man. If you like the Pistons, you wanted to get on them plus 13.5. I told y'all that was probably the best look in that game in the over. We'll see how it finishes out, though. Dante says, nobody giving the Packers a snowball's chance in hell. Pack plus 10. We'll see how that one goes. They got their work cut out for sure. They did look dominant in that last game, though, last week, so couldn't talk you off. CB says he missed the Hornets game, but Oubre over his threes going to play the revenge spot. Matt says, so far, both favorites haven't won in the NFL playoffs. It is true. We'll see how it goes. Best of luck to you guys today, man. I'm about to go enjoy the rest of my Saturday. I actually haven't even eaten anything yet. Just been drinking water. So I'm going to break my fast, get some food, check out the rest of this, see how many points the Detroit Pistons can score. And potentially, make some live money here. We'll see how things go, though, man. Best of luck today, man. 200 likes on the video, please, and we'll do one for Sunday. If not, I'll see you guys on Monday. We'll be back with it as well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. Best of luck, all your action today and tomorrow as well. I'm out.